So the cybersecurity industry needs help. What I found is that the workforce is just filled with a lot of people that they don't have the certifications, or they do have the certifications, but they don't have the understanding. They don't have the practical experience and knowledge to actually get things done. Even in our leading, all the leadership and a lot of the groups that I've seen in many years of experience, they just don't have that practical knowledge themselves. And so they're pushing out policies, they're making cases, they're managing things that they just don't have a really strong foundation of. And so what I'm hoping to do is to just kind of be another voice out there that is pushing for more practical experience, more practical understanding of all the different concepts out there. My name's Kenny. I'm with Cyberspec, and the company that I'm with basically performs consulting services and will hopefully eventually do CMMC, which is the Cybersecurity Maturity Model certification, when that actually finishes and comes out. But to go back to how we're going to try and fix this is we really want to emphasize the practicality of things. So what I'm calling practical cybersecurity. What I noticed is when I look in the internet for any sort of cybersecurity, if I just search YouTube and look up cybersecurity, what you'll find is the top 10 items, they give a lot of good information, a lot of basics about cybersecurity, the CIA triad, and all of the different ways, different possible domains of cyber that you can really learn about. And that's great, but it still doesn't get you to that practical experience. After just going through a few of them, just none of them actually showed how to do anything. So it was always about just memorization and just those general concepts. And sometimes I think what we really need is to implement those concepts on our own. We can't just read about it, we have to do it. And so what I'm hoping to do is basically go through all of the different things that a basic cybersecurity practitioner, and I'm going to be focusing in this next few episodes, or whatever you want to call it, I'm going to be focusing more on the policy people, because that's who I work with every day. What I found is they don't often have, just like the rest of the workforce, they don't often have the practical experience, and they're making policies, they're telling people what to do, they're basically reviewing compliance without knowing what it even means to be compliant truly. They just are going off of a checklist. So for all of you out there that are in that position, that's kind of the idea, is to get more practical. So I have a few basic rules that I try and really want to get out there, is that we just can't keep Googling everything for exact directions. We can't be spoon-fed on all of this stuff. We have to think about it and try it ourselves. We have to be okay with just making mistakes, getting out there and doing. And with all of the cloud technology now, there's no excuse for us to not literally try everything. My thing is, if you're in policy, you really should, or cybersecurity policy, you really should have an understanding of, you've done some of this work before. You shouldn't make a policy about securing your, having backups if you've never performed backups before. You shouldn't try and tell everyone how you should have your domain secured if you've never done it yourself. At least that's kind of how I feel. And at the very least, have practiced it a little bit, just so that there's more than just the typical administrative person. What I mean is like administrative from a paperwork standpoint, just going in and all of a sudden starting making policies and becoming a manager over things. And it's just so common in our field. So every every episode or whatever you want to call it that I'm going to be doing, I'm going to try and do a practical thing with you all. So it will always have something, a how-to that you can look at to try and implement yourself. And because that's always going to be the point, is to make sure you're doing all of this yourself. So I'm also going to try and do these weekly. I'm going to try and basically get this out there every week and do it in a live session so people can come in, ask questions, and really start to engage. Now, obviously, this is my first time doing any of this, so it's going to be very rough around the edges at first. I'm not going to do any cuts. I'm just going to try and continue to improve as I go. So anyway, for the first few episodes, we're basically going to try and build out a small example that we're going to use to basically go through all of the wickets of cybersecurity, securing the environment and assessing that environment. And so to do that, we need to have systems, right? So to have those systems, we can stand up a cloud environment and we can just literally start building those systems. If you've never built a system, well, now's the time. Build it. And we're basically going to do a small architecture. We're going to do the diagrams. We're going to go through the whole kit and caboodle, basically. So let me first just walk through the process of, for example, standing up a server in AWS. So you can choose whatever you want. I'm going to be using AWS, but if you want to use Microsoft Azure or one of the other groups out there, feel free, because it's all about you just trying and digging in. So you don't have to follow me step by step or anything like that. But basically, we want to just build a few servers out there. So let's just go ahead and build I'm going to build a Linux box to start because that's my favorite. And we'll just go through a quick walkthrough of that. Now, in Amazon, you'll find that these AMIs, there's official AMIs, and then there's AMIs that were created by a bunch of random organizations, people, and groups. And you just have to kind of be somewhat aware if it's a community AMI that they could have put anything in them, right? So there's not much vetting, and so it's possible for somebody malicious to technically have gotten their stuff in there. So you just have to be aware of that when you're choosing these things. But if you just want something that's in the AWS marketplace, it's much more vetted, much more official, and you can go that route. So I'm just going to go ahead and pick Debian Buster. Now, there's a host of things with AWS that you can really dig into. There's certifications on this whole thing. There's 1,000,001 options, but basically you want to build something, you just have to kind of know how much processing power you're going to need, how much memory you're going to need, etc. But if you want to just stick with the medium for now, just to kind of get through things, that's super easy. I'm not going to describe all of the different possibilities and whatnot. Something to be aware of is most of these cloud services is, as long as you have the stuff shut down, the charges are either zero or going to be very minimal. A lot of them will charge for storage. So if you have a lot of storage that it's being used up, you might have a small cost there, but we're talking dollars. And if you really want to learn this stuff, you got to just go ahead and pay for it. So I'm going to select the T2 medium, which is super basic, 2 VCUs, 4 gigs of memory, and just launch this and call it a day for this aspect. I haven't created anything, so key. So when you have keys, basically you need to be able to log into your system, right? If you haven't done this before, it's basically just saying, hey, the same way you have a credit card and you have a little chip on there, that basically is a key in there that you're unlocking whenever you type in your PIN. Same concept, except you're downloading this onto your system so that you can use it. So as you go through all of these different things, while this is loading, I'll just try and emphasize that when it comes to cybersecurity, there's no such thing as zero risk. There's no such thing as 100% compliance. I was working with groups within the last few weeks that were trying to get their system to be perfect, and that's great. You should always do that, but they were acting as though it had to be perfect and that they wouldn't allow it to connect or be approved without being perfect, and that's just not possible. There's always going to be some level of risk. You can't ever get risk to zero, and so because of that, you can't ever have a security control that is perfect and that is 100% compliant. And that's something that I'll talk about more as we get into even what security controls are and everything. But for now, just be aware that there's a lot of gray area, and if you have a problem with gray area, if you have a problem with understanding that there's going to be many different answers to every problem, then you're going to have a hard time with cybersecurity. Okay, so my instance is launched and it's running, as you can see here. And this is probably going to look super confusing, but that's kind of the point of all of this. Is it's very quick and easy, and what you'll find is there's a lot of these groups that will just explain, something that you have to do, but you have to actually do it, because all of the selections that I made and the skipping of certain things that I did was just because I happen to understand or have done it before, and that's just about it, right? But you just have to go in and try and do, or else, it just won't quite make any sense when you are getting told something. Let's say you're getting told by a system administrator about some issue with their instance. They're saying that it's not vulnerable to something because of whatever. If you don't understand what they're saying, well, how can you judge whether there's an issue or not, right? So you have to kind of go through these different processes and really try things before you can wrap your head around all of the different aspects that are going on. So let's see. So this thing is running. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to log into this box. And to do that, I just need my address. So normally there is a connect deal. Let's see, connect through SSH. And as you saw, that I downloaded that key file right here. So I'm not going to put it in any sort of special folder or anything, but that's what you should do. You should protect it. You should make sure that it's good. In fact, it'll probably give me an error if I didn't. Here, let me fix that now. Most likely that won't work. Okay, so let me just go ahead and change this now while I'm at it. Okay, and then it should be good to go. So it does say it is up, but I'm not getting out to it. So let me see here. I probably can't ping. Oh, it's my firewall. That sucks. So I have my firewall, my home firewall, blocking this port. So I'm gonna have to disable that real quick, or at least add this port in here real quick. Those are things that you just have to be aware of, that, if you're not in this industry, or you're new to it, or you haven't done the actual work, something like that could cause unreasonable amounts of time to troubleshoot. And that's the type of thing that just trying it and doing it will help get you to understand, is all the different nuances. And you're not going to remember them all, but ideally you're going to have a way of troubleshooting that can help you go through and cut through and quickly find out what the problem is. But I'm not going to continue too much longer on this because, like I said, I don't want to keep doing cuts and whatnot. But here, let me just try and finish this part real quick. I guess normally people would pause this, and instead of continuing the recording, let's see. And I can't log into my router. Okay, there we go. Firewall. Do you want to proceed? Yes. And I will add, how do I add a rule to this thing? Let me go ahead and show you what I'm doing here. I've never used this thing. Okay, so I'm gonna add HTTPS or SSH, sorry. Guess I have to define it myself. Port number 22. And apply. And I'll do any for now, and I'll just change this for later. All right. Now I should be able to connect, hopefully. Did that save? Oh, I didn't save it. Apply. Oh, oops, I had it on block. I needed to add it to allowed. SSH. Okay, that should do it. Or not. See if there's something going on with that particular address. You know what? There's another issue. Let's do our security groups here. So the security group, oh, it's already allowed. Okay, so it's not that. Sucks. If I have to restart anything. Okay, yeah. I'll have to figure out what's wrong with the router. I disabled the firewall on the router for this session, just so we can see what's going on. So as you can see, I'm finally in the actual server. Not very amazing there, but that's all it takes to build a server on Amazon. Make sure your ports are open, make sure the right things are there. Don't just disable security, obviously, but just for the purpose of this session, that's what I did, just so you can see. So yeah, so that's all you have to do. So what we're gonna do in the next episode is going to go through and create the rest of these systems, and then I'll start to map out what a small network architecture is going to look like, and what you're going to actually see, or what you've already seen over all of the different systems that you may have gone over before. So yeah, so that's all for now. Something that I wanted to put out there is I'm going to be doing daily or appointments that if you have questions, if you have issues, if you want some quick training, just use this book appointment on the site to schedule some time, and we can just talk over some issues that you may have. I know that this video may not be the best, but hopefully I'll get better at explaining and whatnot, and hopefully show you why the way that I go about things is a good way to at least see things and really get to the bottom of issues and work on ourselves and improve the workforce ideally. So that's all I have. Thanks for listening or watching, and I'll see you next time.